Welcome. In this video, we're going to start one of our stories into the Solomon Kane board game with Rattle of Bones. So Solomon Kane is a story-based game that comes with a lot of different storybooks, and there's quite a few more. We are getting started with the basics, Rattle of Bones. In this game, we're going to be playing one of the many virtues. If you're playing solo, that'll be Providence. Multiplayer to be those four up top, which will be prudence, courage, justice, and temperance. And there's also ways to play with the virtues against the darkness itself. So it can be competitive, cooperative, or solo. And in this game, instead of directly controlling Solomon Kane, we are going to be basically spirits or virtues trying to influence the area around him to help him succeed in his battle against darkness. Each of the stories are going to be made up of several acts. There are going to be story chapters and scene chapters. The difference between those stories, we will not use miniatures and tiles to complete by using a combination of cards and just making choices basically on our way to a scene, which would be associated with a map and tiles and components and miniatures. So starting out, "Great God," he muttered, as cold sweat formed on his body. "This thing is beyond all reason. Yet with mine own eyes, I see it." Solomon Kane from Rattle of Bones. So at the start of each chapter, it's going to let you know which miniatures you need to set aside and map tiles. And of course, the first one is going to be story, so we're not going to need any of that to get this started. So we're just going to jump on in. Like I said, this one is a 10-chapter scenario. I'm planning on just taking this along so we can see each of the story and scene modes. This will be my first time playing through it, and this is one of the starter scenarios I want to get started with. So we're at the Cleft Skull Inn. Solomon Kane's long stride devours the miles as shadows lengthen over the Black Forest. He walks a quiet, lonely trail, though some miles back he gained a companion of the road, Gaston Lemon, a dandy swordsman. Night shrouds the forest, and their thoughts turn to shelter, food, and rest. Ahead, a light twinkles through the trees, and they soon find themselves before a long, low, rambling building of heavy logs. A tavern, sign creaks, swinging in the slight breeze, depicts a cleft skull. "This place hath foreboding aspect, meseemeth," Kane mutters darkly. Lamar ignores the Puritan's gloomy observation and calls out, "Landlord, ho!" The door swings open and a bearded face peers out. The owner of the face steps back and motions his guest to enter, with a grudging gesture, it seems. Within, a candle gleams on the table and a fire smolders in the earth. Food and wine are served, after which a landlord leads the weary travelers to their chamber. So in this, our objectives are to illuminate Solomon's path, so we're trying to light these areas here. If Solomon's path is bright, with at least 3 of those, we'll proceed to Chapter 2A. If we don't get at least 3 on there, proceed to 2B. For setup, we're going to start with 2 darkness cards and discovery card D200. And our virtue starting stats is going to start at 7 for strength, 5 for clarity, 8 for compassion, and 3 for danger. So we will lose the game immediately if we ever go to 0 on any of these 3 stats here, or if danger goes to 11. So since our map tiles are not needed for this, we'll go ahead and get these out of the way. We'll set these at 7, which will give us a +1 to strength. Clarity is a 5, so that's going to be a 0. Compassion and 8 gives us +1 for skill tests, and danger is a 3, which is going to give us a -1. And down at the bottom, these are split up, so that's how many of the darkness miniatures that can be on the board with us whenever we are using miniatures on the board. Up top, we also have our cloud, which will hold our mercy and luck cubes, along with blessing tokens, and cards will let us know when they come out. And we've got some other random tokens off to the side. We have Providence. So on our board, we have a space to hold our miniature during these story modes or when she's on the map. So the auras will come in effect when she's in or on a map tile. This is just a reminder that after we roll the dice the first time, we can re-roll or flip one of the dice. We have 3 reserved areas to hold them, and we come with 3 base actions. So integrity, these 2 symbols here, we can move or place a light. For valor, talk, fight, or explore with a base 0. Providence. This would be any symbol we can put there to place Providence onto the board or move her one space. And since we're rolling a lot of dice, it'd be nice to know what our symbols are. So we're going to have faith on two sides of our dice, then bravery and determination, and on the opposite side, we're going to have pain and fear. So those are the symbols we can use. Faith works as itself or can be used as a wild on any of these, but we can only use one wild symbol to replace any one of our normal symbols. To get a good player aid, going over our virtue turns, so we're going to start of turn effects, rolling 3 dice. Then we can flip or re-roll one of those dice. So we can either flip to the opposite side or re-roll one of them. Form your dice pool, so you take your dice from your reserved areas in there. Allocate dice to actions, which will be here, and we'll also have additional actions on either side. Resolve those actions, then place new action cards and draw up to a hand size of 2. Then we have the end of turn effects. And then for the darkness turn, resolve an omen card, if any, draw and resolve the top card of the darkness deck, and then pass on to the next player. So fairly simple. So we're just going to go ahead and get started with this. So finishing our setup, what we do there is we take our 8 virtue cards for the virtue we're using, give it a shuffle, and separate those into stacks of 4. Then we get to look and decide which one we want. So this allows us to move 2 or move up to 2 light, place 2 light, which is something I know we want to do because of our objective. Explore, draw 2 of those tiles and choose one to place on the cloud. Add or remove a darkness. So I think we're going to keep those, but we'll see what our other options are. Dignity, +1 danger, but we get -1 or +1 to strength, compassion, or clarity. If Providence is on the board, repeat this action, but there's no board for this first one. Fight for or gain 2 dice, talk for and gain 2 dice, and -1 danger or +1 light. So we're going to put that into our discard pile, which I'll put right there. We're going to go ahead and put 2 of these in play. We'll put in elegance, 2 light, and finesse for add or remove a darkness. These 2 go to our hand. We'll bring this slightly on camera. Darkness cards, we'll take this stack, give it a shuffle, and darkness starts at 2, so this is our timer for the game. So needless to say, we want to get at least 3 light. We've got 2 turns, so finding a way to add more darkness is going to be useful. Take our event deck, give it a shuffle. And off to the side, I've got fight cards, which no need to shuffle. It's just going to, if we ever fight something, we'll find the monster we're fighting. Fight effect cards, same thing. Got a number on there. Don't shuffle, and off to the side. Then our discovery cards for Rattle of Bones, and we need D200. So that's going to start in play. So we've got an ominous feeling. Something is very wrong. The place, the atmosphere, Solomon must inquire further into the mystery. So if we put this symbol on there, we can get +1 danger and add a darkness card. So that's going to help us prolong the game until we spread enough light. And that is our setup. So we'll clear our dice tray. We have no start of turn effects. So we roll 3 dice. Got 2 faith. And some fear, which we can use over here. We're going to go ahead and re-roll one of these dice, which didn't help us. So we'll go ahead and save those. We'll activate here, so our danger goes up 1. We add a darkness card to the bottom of the stack. If we had used any actions, these will go to the discard pile. We can also opt to move them down, but I want to keep those for now. So we're done with our first turn. So we go to a darkness card. So for story mode, all we care about is the top row. These others will be in the other mode. So near enemies would activate, far enemies activate, and spawn some monsters. But what we're looking at is -1 clarity, -1 strength, or -1 compassion. So a strength losing 1 would go from a +1 modifier to 0, clarity still being a 0, compassion, we'll lose it there, going down 1 spot. And discard that. Back to our turn. Rolling 3 dice. And I'll go ahead and re-roll that one. Getting the same thing. So what we're going to do is use those symbols here, along with these. And it's okay to have double faith on that because it's not a wild. It can be any dice for that. We'll use this wild up here. +1 danger. Add a darkness card to the bottom. And with this, we're placing 2 light. And after that's activated, it goes to a discard pile. And I'm just going to put one of these cards down here, and then we draw up to a hand size of 2, getting a courtesy. So on to darkness. -1 to our clarity. So back to us, rolling 3 dice. I think we're good putting that there, using the wild, holding on to that so we can place another light. End of return. Discard. Place down courtesy and draw to interrogation. Then we get a darkness card. All virtues, discard 1 active action card, which is going to be our courtesy. So we're rolling 3 dice, and we definitely need a darkness this turn. And we do get bonuses for getting additionals here. So I think what we're going to do is bring that here, use the wild. I guess before all that happens, we can flip this and use that. So we're placing a light. We're going to put down another darkness card. And +1 danger. That's probably a mistake, but oh well. Ending our turn. Get a darkness. All virtues, discard their right hand action card. Oh, I guess before that would have happened, we would have played and drawn. But now we're losing our right hand action card. And back to our turn. And the game ends when we're finished the last darkness card, or there is another symbol that might pop up saying, hey, you're done. So this is probably going to be our last turn. And we'll go ahead and re-roll this one. We'll pop those there. Save onto this. We can place a light. End of return. Drawing into dignity. Then we will shuffle and draw one more. And our final darkness card. Discard their left-handed action card. So with that, we finish the darkness turn and we are done. So since we have this full of light, his path is bright, we proceed to 2A. But we are going to keep everything we've got in play. We'll keep our reserved. All these markers stay at the same spot. We do lose our dice. And since we have all 5 offers, we get 3 modifications. So what that means is we can move danger down by 1 for each modification, or strength, clarity, or compassion up by 1 for each modification. Our danger went up quite a bit, so we're going to move that down 2. And I think we're going to move clarity up by 1. So that went a lot quicker than I thought. But yeah, we're just learning the game here. So that was chapter, 1A, the cleft skull in. So we will move on to the next one and pick up from this spot. So as always, I hope you enjoyed this playthrough. So please click on the like button below and be sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching.